It's been over 100 years since the First World War turned Europe into a graveyard. Today, war has returned to the continent, and this time it is in Ukraine. Different eras, different enemies, but strangely familiar scenes. Mud, trenches, artillery, drones and death. So how does World War I compare to the modern war in Ukraine? Let's find that out in today's episode. In World War I, trenches defined the battlefield. From the North Sea all the way up to the Swiss border, soldiers lived, fought and died in narrow muddy ditches. Fast forward to Ukraine today and the trenches are back. From Bakhmut to Avdiivka, both Ukrainian and Russian forces are digging in, using trench systems that echo exactly the same like what happened in World War I. Why? Because when artillery dominates the battlefield, the ground becomes deadly, and the safest place is still inside the trenches or inside the dugouts. Exactly the same like it was in World War I.
World War I was called an artillery war. In fact, over 70% of all casualties came from shells and not from bullets. Today in Ukraine that hasn't changed much. Artillery is still king. Massive shell barrages destroy positions, flatten cities and wear down the enemy's morale. But in 2023, it's not just cannons and mortars. It's precision guided systems, rockets, drone and GPS targeted HIMARS.
The effect is still devastating, but now it happens faster and with terrifying accuracy.
Both wars have left deep scars on civilian life. In World War I, entire villages were wiped out. Civilian displacement was massive, but the front lines were largely rural.
In Ukraine, the fighting has engulfed cities like Mariupol, Severodonetsk and Bakhmut, reducing homes, hospitals and schools to completely rubble. And the refugee crisis, well, over 10 million people have been displaced. A human toll not seen in Europe since World War II.
As the war goes on, the refugee crisis is growing. The UN estimates roughly 10 million people are either displaced inside Ukraine or have fled to other countries in search of safety.
The refugees continue to come over, the vast majority, of course, women and children. This is the biggest refugee crisis Europe has faced since World War II.
The weapons have changed, but the battlefield's logic has not. In World War I, it was bayonets, gas, bolt-action rifles and biplanes. Today, drones circle overhead, satellites track troop movements, cyber warfare hits infrastructure before a single bullet is even fired.
But the goal remains the same: control the ground and break the enemy's will. And also try to make a breakthrough. It is exactly the same like what happened in World War I. It's also trying to break through the lines with a mighty force and hope to break the spirit and will of the enemy. But sadly, we never learned from World War I. The artillery is the same, drones are the same, which was in World War I, was airplanes. The trench life was almost the same. It's insane how you can compare the two wars, which are around 110 years difference from each other.
Okay, let's play a little game, something completely different. You have to guess if the picture is from World War I or from the Ukrainian war. Here we have the first picture.
Ask any soldier from World War I in the trenches or the modern war, what was the hardest in the trenches? And they probably will say it might not be the enemy. It's probably the mud, the cold, the water, the artillery and the waiting. So much similarities are there between World War I and the Ukraine modern war. It's actually insane.
Life in a trench hasn't changed much. Waterlogged boots, frozen fingers, trench foot, vermin, disease. It's all exactly the same as it was in the First World War. But in both wars, men still write letters, still joke and still survive the horrors. Technology has changed, but humans, they did not.
World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Instead, it became the blueprint for the next one. In Ukraine today, history is still writing itself. But have we learned anything about the previous wars? I don't think so. It is actually really frightening seeing the similarities between World War I and the war in Ukraine today. Like for example, just take a look at these photos. It will probably horrify you how similar those wars are with each other. From the trenches of World War I to the front lines of Ukraine, war never repeats itself, but it definitely does rhyme. Why don't we as humans learn about the mistakes we made in the past? And that is why learning about history is so damn important. That's why I am making these videos, and that's why I recommend you guys to watch other history channels to learn about history and never repeat the mistakes that we did previously ever again. I can recommend some good channels for you guys. Some of my friends also have YouTube channels, like we have JD from the History Underground, we have Rob from History in Your Hands, we have Chris from Vlogging for History, and we have Marcel from History War Cinema. So check those channels out and learn about history. So might you ever be in a power position, don't do the same mistakes as they did 100 years ago. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video about the similarities between the First World War and the Ukraine war that's going on now. Like these trenches are so similar, it's actually insane. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I also have a Patreon, so if you want to support my work, you can do that via the link below on my Patreon. And yeah, let's leave the trench of death here, the Dodengang in Belgium. Let's leave this place alone and go to the next one. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Salute.